as I sat here, so many emotions have been washing over me. Because though this wasn't the door I walked through countless times from 1991 to 93 and beyond, it was the door of Children's Hospital. I cannot thank John and the MACCFund for their work, Peggy and Children's for their continued work. Without the two of them, I wouldn't have the honor to stand up here and tell you that today I stand here as a 1 in a billion survivor of my childhood cancer diagnosis. I survived bilateral osteosarcoma, and I was diagnosed on March 7th of 1991, 3 days before my 13th birthday. I left Children's in February of 92, hoping to never return. This place was my heaven and my hell. It was my heaven because it saved me. It was my hell because it was hard to walk through the doors. But in 1992, I came back, and in September, I was re-diagnosed, at that time in my left leg. And at that time, I was given a 10% chance of survival. And whether or not at that time the MACCFund was supporting osteosarcoma research, it doesn't matter, because what their research does is it attracts some of the best physicians from all over the country to stand here, to come here, to help kids survive. And so I don't know if they were researching osteo at the time or not, but I don't care. I was under the care of Dr. Bruce Committa, one of the best, and still one of the best oncologists in the nation. And at that At that time, what's funny is I'm staring right now at a gentleman who's now gray-haired and did have black hair at the time, Dr. David Margolis, who was nothing more than, and I will put it in the words of a nurse from the hot unit when I came to visit once, because as much as I can, it's my honor to come back and mentor those kids who are diagnosed today. But she said to me, she looked at him, she goes, you know, you were just a punk resident when he was a punk kid here back in the 90s. So that is not my quote, but now Dr. Margolis is doing wonderful things, and he's also another one of the doctors that I credit for saving my life, because he allowed me to have guest passes to go home, and sometimes to just be out of the hospital and to be going home, where Dr. Committa was a little old school. He wasn't having that. He had to be in the hospital. It brought my spirits up, and it helped me to survive. Finally, I think the most important thing I can share here today, and a lot of things always come to me at last minute, I am also not a note person whatsoever. I like to speak from my heart as much as I can. But I think John and Peggy and everybody who's been involved with Children's and the MACCFund, you need to understand that there's a giant ripple effect that happens from the work you guys do. When these kids survive, and I have countless stories of friends beyond Jessica, who was one of my mentors when I was diagnosed in 91, there are these kids, they walk out there and they start organizations, they start nonprofits, they do great work in research. I know two who have become pediatric oncologists themselves now. And they continue to give back as much as they can. So everybody here, from the nurses in the back to the physicians here, and everybody, the giant ripple effect that you guys create by sending kids out of these doors as survivors is more enormous than you could ever know and could ever imagine. So you need to pat yourselves on the back every day and know that you are a huge part, not only in the research, but I've always said continually, it was a quarter of everybody that helped me survive. From my mom who was here every day when I was sick, ready to pull the bucket out from under the bed when I was ready to puke, because if I just saw it, I was gonna puke. So she was there every step of the way. It was my family, it was the research, it was the doctors, it was the nurses. It took everybody, and it continues to take everybody to cure these children and send them out that door for their last time. So I will close with one final miracle, because my life has been a miracle after another since 91. And if my wife is in the back with Jack, so I am not someone who is able to bear my own children for my treatment. You need to come up here because everybody needs to see this little miracle. If you can believe it or not, we had to adopt because of that. And like I said earlier, I was originally diagnosed on March 7th, 1991. Jack was born on March 7th, 2012, and was chosen us to be his. If that's not God at work and the plan, I don't know what is. And the fact that the MACCFund and the physicians here helped me survive to reach this plan, I could never, ever, in any amount of words, thank any of you enough. So thank you so much.